Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to the Respect Our Decision podcast. It's December the 28th, and this is your boy Hirsch as always, and with me is the man Mike.
What's going on?
And the hype man Wes.
Was good.
Gator Nation, we all hope y'all had a merry holiday season, Merry Christmas. Hope y'all are getting prepped for the new year. And everybody's in good spirits and in good health after the winter storm that came through. Hope everybody's all right out there. We want to remind y'all, as always, guys, go out there and download us wherever you get your podcast from. And make sure you go check out our YouTube channel and subscribe there. Hit the notification bell so you get a notification anytime we post new content. Hit the like. Leave us a comment. We appreciate it. We like to read the comments, see what y'all are thinking out there. And guys, as always, if you'd like to support us as creators, you can check us out on our Patreon at Respect Our Decision. Each and every dollar we make there comes back to help us with this show. Want to give a big shout out, as always, to our first Patreon, Utah Gator. Thank y'all so much for the love, the support. And as always, guys, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, All Star Roofing in Georgia. If you're in Georgia and you're needing a new roof, a roof repair, or gutters and gutter repair, go check out All Star Roofs at allstarsroofs.com. And use code RESPECT100, guys. Save yourself $500 off a brand new roof there. If you're in the Georgia area, the Atlanta area, they service out there. Go get yourselves a new roof for the new year, guys. And as always, guys, we're going to jump on in here with a little recruiting talk this week. Not so much to talk about this week. A lot of teams out there are starting to focus in on the portal, and a lot of the kids out there are getting ready for all-star games. We're still in the dead period. Got a lot of kids out there getting ready for their prospective all-star games across the country. Of course, last week being early signing day, most of the high-tier prospects in the country have already signed with their prospective teams. And as we talk about the all-star games, guys, Under Armour All-American game coming up in the Florida Gators, just as perspective on this class that we've got coming in here. The Gators have 10 signees playing in this game, second to just Alabama out there. And I believe Georgia's third with 8. So, hey, that just speaks volumes to the quality of the prospects that we've got coming in. So, we definitely all want to check out that Under Armour game this year and check out some of our guys. Guys, y'all got any thoughts on what that says about Billy's class?
It goes back to what I was saying with the silver lining of the cycle. Yeah, we have highest average or Meyer at 92.3. Obviously, we did whiff on the true elite recruits. However, it's a true foundational class. So if you take a step back and you just truly look at the class, I think this would be the class that especially with the quarterbacks in tow, as long as we keep Lagway, that once 3 years down the road, you're to look like, okay, this is the one that got it all started. So instead of taking fillers and everything, Billy, Billy and gang, Raymond, Colbert, they identified their talent and they executed it.
Wes, you got any thoughts on these boys in the All-Star game?
Yeah, I mean, we have a total of 20 commits in the class. 18 4-stars. And you got 10 of those going to play in the All-American game. I mean, that's solid. I mean, that's what you look for. You look for guys like that can make an impact. Some of those guys, hopefully, can make an immediate impact on the class, whether it's this year or next year. You want those type of guys in the class to do their thing. So I like it. I mean, it speaks volumes to Mike's point last week when he just brought up just now about the quality of the class and the silver lining. I mean, that speaks to the type of guys that we're getting here. Of course, we wanted we wanted and expected a bigger class, and maybe a bigger class would have had more guys in those All-American games, those All-Star games, however you want to call it. But to have that many, second to only Alabama, speaks volumes to the quality of the guys that we have coming in. So I'm excited to see those games, to see what those guys do against other guys that, I mean, when you're in high school, sometimes you're just better than the next guy. But is not even just the game. I shouldn't have said that. I want to see the practice because you get a lot of practice notes about guys and standing out and who looks this good and who looks that good. So
and
I
that's
want to
where
see
your rankings adjustments come from.
exactly. So I want to see them competing against the best of the best. This is an all-star environment, so the practice is going to tell us a little bit more of the game. They don't have a lot of time to go over like schemes and that thing. So I take that back about actually seeing the game. I just want to hear the practice notes and who's standing out from these reporters that'll be attending these games. So I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing about those practices down there.
Yeah, that brings me to another note, and I'm glad we brought it up because I really want to speak on it. I saw a lot of people this week kind of going out and saying, well, this class isn't a whole lot different than Mullins because it just didn't have the 3 stars in it. You know, if it had what a lot of classes have with the fillers, the 3-star fillers, this class wouldn't be much different than a Mullen class. And you know what? I mean, we had some 3 stars and most of those chose to leave this class. So, I mean, you can't really come out and say that. I mean, we didn't recruit a lot of 3-star guys.
And Hirsch, just to interject really quick, actually, somebody actually said that compared the Mullen to Napier. You know, Mullen could have got this class, which is there's no data on that at all.
None.
So
that's a lazy take. I'm sorry.
It's idiotic, but either way. So Mullen's highest rating average was 90.75. Napier's in this second season is 92.34. So yeah, that's all.
And then you're talking about guys who didn't even play, who got kicked off the team.
Yeah,
who couldn't get in because of grades.
Risk, and that goes back to like Isaiah Nixon, like we were talking about. You know, you could have taken Isaiah Nixon and signed him to the class, knowing well he probably would not have qualified to get into the University of Florida. But then people would be, oh, well, here we go again. That's just like what Mullen did, taking these risk guys just to pad his class. But no, you don't send that guy an LOI. And you say you're not going to take up a scholarship on this team or potentially take up a scholarship on this team when you're not doing your part of the bargain. You know, a lot of coaches will tell these kids up front, this is a give and take deal. I mean, you know, we'll give you this scholarship and all the rewards that go with it, but you've got to do your part of the bargain. And that includes going to class, graduating, doing your part academically to get into school. And once these kids commit, the coaches can provide them, you know, they can't go do their work for them, but they can provide them, you know, they check in on them and make sure they're doing their part.
They have tutors
that
assist in the academic center. Yeah.
So I don't buy into the whole Mullen could have had this class whatsoever because
exactly.
Mullen
Webb came out
Webb
came out in Cortita and said, nah, it's the same thing to that point that
Mullen couldn't have Webb's comment was negative.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, negative. And he wouldn't have. And Webb knows Webb wasn't even recruited by Mullen probably much at all. That was one of the reasons he committed to Oklahoma and whatnot.
A simple question would be, if he's the quarterback whisperer, where was his top quarterback that he got into the class?
Oh, you mean Emory Jones?
Yeah.
Highest quarterback sign?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's ego, and we're not going to go down the Mullen road on that. You know, you're talking about 2 very different kind of guys. We've said it over and over again. Billy identified a footprint of which he wanted to recruit into, 500 miles in from Gainesville, hit on that, and then, you know, a standard of prospect he wanted to bring in, and he recruited that. There were very few flyers that he even took on kids. Patterson was one. Patterson played the game. You know, bye. Sorry. You want to play the game? We don't need you. You're not worth that, you know. You're not worth that commitment. Kinsler was one. He went to Miami. Of course, we know that. So, you know, and Creed was another one. But, if you know, if his brother would have stayed, then Creed probably would have stayed. But here we are. It is what it is. Another stat that dropped today, On3 dropped their rankings of top 10 receivers and the Gators had 2 of On3's top 2 receivers, with Eugene Wilson in at 5 and Aiden Mizell in at 8. They joined Ohio State as the only school with 2 receivers on that list. Now, as you'll probably know, On3, they do things a little differently, and we can all have our hate for that. But I actually kind of, and I know it's kind of convenient for me to do so, think that they're one of the few schools that actually have few services that actually have Eugene Wilson ranked close to where he should be.
Exactly.
That kid, like we've said over and over again, phenomenal, and where he's ranked in other services is criminally low. So, any thoughts on that, guys?
I was always a big fan of Colbert, as you guys know from I think it was on our first pod. I went in on
you
that.
You are the KC hype man.
Hey man, it's just he has a phenomenal resume, and it's just going to continue to get better. So I think that's going to continue on, and his resume is going to help us tremendously in the 24 cycle. But that's another thing for another day. However, with Eugene and Eugene Wilson and Aiden Mizell, 2 phenomenal prospects. I love Mizell. I think he's going to take a little bit more time to develop. However, he can definitely contribute in a special teams area. Eugene, I definitely see him as a contributor, hopefully sooner rather than later. But in terms of what this demonstrates, I really think, especially with Lagway in tow, Kerry Colbert has the ability to be the second best wide receiver recruiter coach.
His resume speaks to it.
No, it really does. I mean, you have Ahmad St. Brown, you have Drake London, and Michael Pittman. So I mean, you can just go to anybody with that. I mean, Pitt, they do a good job developing receivers, but at the end of the day, they're Pitt. So with I think it's going to be between Ohio. He can definitely secure a second spot behind Hartline, who's the best assistant in the country,
best guy going. Yeah.
Yep.
And you can definitely see a shift in philosophy at wide receiver with this staff and Kerry Colbert versus the last. A lot of bigger, slower guys on the roster trying to purge that out and get faster guys, what we like to call SEC speed on the roster. So that's refreshing. Wes, you got any thoughts on the receivers before we move on?
Yeah, just to echo some of the things you guys were saying. Love Eugene Wilson. As you stated, he is criminally underrated in some of the other recruiting services, how they have him. I think he's going to be an impact player next year, type of guy you want to put the ball in his hands. So hopefully that will be, in my case, short of anything as far as playing receiver, he might play the same position that Ricky plays, but he has to be our punt returner next year. We've been lacking since probably Andre DeBose. I mean, Tony played there for 1 year, but since Andre DeBose being a game breaker at punt returner, I don't think we've had anybody since then. Special teams at Florida is something that we take pride, especially punt return, like returning punts and getting big gains and getting big yards and just changing the totality of the game. He can make an impact there if nowhere else on the field. So I love that kid. Aiden Mizell, just a definition of speed. I know you guys talked about Colbert and how he's kind of transformed the receiver room from the big guys to the speedier receivers, and he's an epitome of that. So love that we have 2 guys in the top 10. The only other school is, I guess, wide receiver Ohio State right now, is that guy is just killing everybody. And for those, Mike brought up St. Brown. If y'all don't know who that is, that's the receiver from the Detroit Lions, and that kid is a monster. I saw him personally kill my Washington Commanders, and he is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL right now. He has Jared Goff throwing the ball, so trust in KC.
Yeah, and Drake London plays for the Falcons, and you know how bad we are. So anyway, Mike, you got one more thing you want to add?
Yeah, and also I think this is going to help. Well, this will help with the transformation of the wide receiver room. We can actually expand on Billy's playbook. Everyone, obviously, no one's perfect on play calling, and I didn't like some of it as well. However, a lot of folks didn't realize we were probably at max 45% of his what he wanted for play calling, and that's just once again due to the quarterback position and wide receiver as well. So no need to get into the players that were playing at the time. It just bottom line, you have to a good coach adapts to his personnel. So just when we year over year when we get the players that suit Billy's preferences, you're going to see an expanded playbook.
Yeah, and it goes back real quick before we move on. Something I was saying a second ago about the faster receiver. The biggest problem that I saw with our receiving core last year was the ability to create separation. That was a tremendous problem to me. You'd see it on Ricky because of his route running. He would run a very good route, and he would he would create separation with the way the route was created to was drawn up to create. But a lot of these bigger, slower guys just had no separation. And you saw it for sure in the bowl game. If you watch the bowl game back and you saw some of the plays downfield, there was no separation. And that's one thing that these receivers, little faster guys might be able to create to give us better opportunities down the field.
And it gives you let's be honest, college quarterbacks are not going to be perfect a lot of the time.
Room for error helps, though.
Exactly.
All right, guys, like we mentioned, there's not a whole lot of recruiting info out there right now. Coaches are very much focused on the portal, even if we might not believe that. So as we get maybe some information next week out of these practices like Wes was talking about, we'll deep dive into who looks good, who looks, suspect. Hopefully none of our guys are, but we'll wrap that up next week. But right now, guys, we're going to jump right into some – Yo.
Real quick. And guys, just keep in mind, just because you don't hear a name or names doesn't mean they're not looking to go after guys.
Yes.
We signed a very small class with 20 commits. So if normally it's going to be 27, 28, 29. So if at any point if just that number alone says in the amount of departures we had about 30. So those numbers alone are going to say you're going to bring kids in. So let the bowl games play out and just be patient, guys. You
for sure
about that or?
You're 100% correct. Well, I know we're about to talk about the the portal and the movements going on in the portal. So we got there's not a lot of information out there flying around like Mike said, but that doesn't mean things aren't happening. So let's jump into that for a second and really get into some portal talk. And as we jump into the portal, guys, we want to say that this segment here is brought to you by our partnership with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the daily fantasy made easy for you guys out there, where you can pull up 2 to 5 picks, and all you have to do, guys, is pick the over or the under on the picks. So, for instance, a line might be Tyreek Hill under or over 100 yards receiving on the week, and you simply choose, will he have more than 100 yards or under 100 yards? And you do that 2 to 5 times, pull it together, win yourself some big cash. And if you jump on right now and use code RESPECT100, Prize Picks is going to match your donation, your deposit, up to $100. So whatever you throw in there, $25, you'll get $25 for free, $50 free, all the way up to $100, guys. Go out there and make yourself some cash on these picks.
Get that money.
So, guys, yeah, you make that money, man. Make that money. Don't just talk about football. Make some money on it. We all like to a little extra cash, go out for New Year's, party it up. All right, guys. As we jump into the portal, the announcement was made official tonight or earlier this afternoon by the Gators. Graham Mertz has officially signed and is a Florida Gator. I know that's not exactly moving the needle with a lot of people. I think Mike likes it though. I mean,
at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, It's not It's not bad. Okay, there was no superstar. There's no shoe-in guarantee out in the portal. That's just the bottom line. We went over it last week with Larry with his injury. McCall, just can't get in academically. So when you take a step back and look, who would you bring in? I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, that was Mertz was the first guy that they brought in, correct?
Yes, absolutely. He was in here like weekend one.
Yeah, so that kind of came out of nowhere because I remember everyone was in an uproar about it. So the bottom line is that once again, that with Rashada, with Lagway, they identified who they wanted, they got him. Even Jack Miller, they identified who they wanted, they went and got him. So they obviously see something they like in him. We're going to play definitely a different scheme than Wisconsin. Whole trip, night and day in terms of scheme. He'll have protection, some better receivers, shotguns, so on and so forth. And I think that's going to benefit him tremendously. And he's going to be a lot more accurate than AR. I think in this scheme, maybe not as a football player in its entirety, in this scheme, he is better for the University of Florida, period. Last year, we won 1 or 2 more games. We won Vandy in Kentucky. Probably would have lost Utah. FSU's a coin flip. So,
yeah, if you go out there and look, Wisconsin's offense is not exactly wide receivers running all over the field.
I can only name one that I recall.
I'm just saying, even when they're lined up, there's just not. It's a lot of 1-2 wide receiver sets, a lot of power run. Not exactly conducive for high, numbers from the quarterback position. Wes, you got anything you want to add on Mertz?
Yeah, y'all know how I roll. I kind of like to throw a wrench into what you guys said. And if we talk, I know it's kind of it's weird. Okay. Our receivers we talked about earlier when we were talking about Eugene Wilson and the transfer in our receiver room. But then we look at Wisconsin and say, well, they didn't have receivers, so I don't know what our receivers were. If we just said they weren't as good, they were big, and as far as separation is concerned. So, but to be honest about it, there were a lot of open receivers that AR just missed. Forget the screen passes that I hate. It was a lot of times that he just airmailed some balls and threw some balls that were just inaccurate when people were open. Of course, he had some drop balls too, so it goes both ways. Hopefully, in this offense, he can hit those short guys. I mean, when I looked at his average throw per attempt last week, it was 7.7 yards. So it wasn't like he was throwing the ball down the field and being under 60%. Those were sharp passes that he's gonna have to make. So hopefully, in this offense, he was a talented guy coming out of high school. I know Mike said it was Kansas, but he was talented coming out of high school. So hopefully, we can tap into some of the things that and then he had a coach fire last year as well. So
mid-season.
It was a lot of things going on down there in Wisconsin. And even though our receivers struggled last year, I want to say our receivers are better than what he had in Wisconsin. So good thing we got him in early. Hopefully he can practice early. Not practice, but get the playbook in hand and go over what he needs to do so he can hopefully win the job next year.
Yeah, I mean, look. You're not going to spin this as some exciting, change the game transfer. You can't. But that's not to say the kid can't come in and be good in a new system with, it's change of scenery. A little warmer down here than up there, Co-ed's a little better looking, not as winter-proofed.
Oh, God.
Not cheese heads, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, the guy's gonna come down here and try to be the big man on campus. But look, that's also not to say, despite whatever we may think is best, that true freshman Jaden Rashada doesn't step on campus and push this kid a little bit either. You never know. I don't want him starting day one. I don't think anybody. I know there's a lot of. I shouldn't say that. I know there's a lot of people that on Twitter and everything that are going to say, well, I'd assume just start Rashada. Of course you would, because you don't care about his success. Sorry.
with the programs.
Yeah, because how many true freshmen succeed starting quarterback day one?
In the SEC.
Yeah, he ain't Bryce Young. I can tell you that. I ain't saying he can't be great.
Bryce Young was a redshirt freshman.
You're right. I'm sorry. You are exactly correct. See,
Big
therein
difference.
lies the point.
Tua didn't start day one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had to.
I think
Hurts.
yeah.
He started until he didn't start till almost the end of the season when Hurts struggled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the way it goes. Yes, I want to see Rashada playing into fourth quarters early in the season for sure. Absolutely.
That would be the thing. That would be ideal.
Yeah. And I know our fan base, the moment he throws a touchdown against nobody in the fourth quarter, they're going to be saying, well, why isn't Rashada? Because the backup is always the glorified guy if the starter isn't getting it done.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario it'll be like one of those relays, in the Olympics. Just hand the torch up, hand a baton off, at week 3, 4, whatever. Let Rashada get acclimated to the system and so on and so forth. But I know this man's from Kansas, and it kills me to say I get a weird gut feeling he's gonna play pretty solid, to be honest with you, because as long as he plays within himself. Okay, yeah, he did have some picks. Obviously, I've seen some atrocious decisions, but as he plays up within himself, we have the run game. We have better receivers, better system, better coaching. So I think he's gonna succeed.
Maybe not. I mean, a change in staff's got do him wonders. I don't know how he's getting coached. I mean, Wisconsin is traditionally a run-heavy offense and a defensive team, so. You don't really talk. The last quarterback I remember at Wisconsin, period, was Russell Wilson.
Me too. All you remember is running backs.
Yeah,
that was
exactly. But like I said, I'm all for giving the kid a chance. We'll look at him in the spring game and see how he looks, and and then we'll start to form a better opinion from there. How he looks as he, But even then, remember he's brand new in the offense, so. But one of the things that they said that they liked about him was his ability to, they brought him in and he learned the playbook really quick.
That's a plus. I mean,
yes. So
being experienced and getting the playbook early.
Look, and I'm not trying to get down on AR and make this a hate on AR show. But the mental part of it is a huge part of playing that quarterback position, and we've seen how that happens. If you're not strong up there, how quick that can go south. So hopefully that's a precursor to what we can expect from the mental aspect. Guys, we want to talk real quick about some of the negativity about the portal, though. We talk about trying to bring kids in, but one thing I don't think a lot of people are aware of, and this has been brought up this week, especially with some guys we're going to talk about in a second, is players that are being, coaches are recruiting, but they're having to also recruit their own players right now. And that being because there's teams reaching out to kids on our team, trying to poach some of these guys off our team. And a couple of names I'll throw out there to you real quick. Austin Barber, Trevor Etienne, and Shamar James were 3 very hot names that teams have contacted through back channels and whatnot. Don't get it twisted. I'm sure most people obviously know it by now that there's tampering going on all over the place. Everybody knows about somebody that knows somebody that can get a hold of you, whether it be you played with this kid in high school, whatnot. There's all kinds of ways to get a hold of these kids. So just know that the coaches are having to work not only on bringing new guys in, but keeping our playmakers and our young rising talent on this roster. Guys, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know this is a brand new world we're living in.
You can see the issue and problem with it when we all know that what happened with Drake May, and then you have Mack Brown and Drake May not even name the teams that even said. because it's an issue and it's a problem, and it's not free agency because the kids aren't free. In the NFL, they even have that rule where you can't even. It's a certain period where you can contact these kids, and in college football, it's a free for all. And I believe that they want to say to schools, but like you said, everybody's doing it. So if you say, "Hey, Miami offered Drake maybe $5 million," then you kind of put yourself in that line of fire of who's doing something, who got skeletons in their closet. So it's an issue. Thank God those are three of our best players, especially Etienne and Barber, that we able to hold on. Some kids are just want to be Florida Gators. Then you have other kids when the money gets calling that we speak about in a few that they hardtail it on. So shout out to the staff for keeping those guys in. But it is happening. It's nothing, no rules and regulations. It's rules and regulations because you can't contact a kid from another school. That's there. But it's a reason why certain schools' names aren't being brought into the news cycle, because you may have some skeletons in your closet that another school might bring out about you. So it's a bad situation going on.
Mike?
Yeah, I think it'll be it's unfortunate. It's a necessary evil right now until ever since they allowed NIL, it's gonna have to work its way out. It's such a huge. They flipped college football on its head, and so it's gonna take some time to work its kinks out. So it'll be right after conference realignment begins and the big money deals start. So it'll take another couple of years, but it's so big. Yeah, this is gonna happen. And I fully believe, be some more rules and regulations in place. I mean, heck, the SEC Sankley, Greg, the Commissioner Sankley of the SEC, he put some internal transfer rules, for example, after the transfers are getting out of control internally with the pretty much there's dog within the conference. So he put some internal rules in there after the NCAA rules. So it's gonna, it'll police itself over time. It was such an overhaul of the system, it just has to come down to earth a little bit. But I think it's good for the kids. But the main thing is it's gonna keep two things. One, coaches have to have proper communication with the kids. Period. Just talk to them, can't can't ignore them, hope they, believe they say, just do quarterly checks, every, maybe have a GA talk to the kid every now and then, so on and so forth. But pardon me, it's just gonna, once again, it's gonna be great. It's the main thing. It's a necessary evil right now. It is what it is. It sucks.
It does. I mean, it sucks that you have to recruit guys to come to your campus and then continue to recruit them for 3 to 4 years to keep them as part of your roster. But that's where, you got to keep communication open. Like Mike said, really talk to your kids, know your kids, let your kids know they can come speak to you at any time, just so that they can, if they have reservations, if they feel like maybe they're not getting a fair shake, they can come in, talk to their position coach or talk to Napier and say, look, this is where I'm at. What can we do to straighten things out, to make things right, to make me get more, what can I do to get this level of playing time, compensation even? I know that's out. I mean, you got to say it. I mean, it's out there. Look, and this is one of the big things we talked about with, say, the Miami locker rooms or the Texas A&M locker rooms. If you get terribly out of balance, you're going to have a lot of kids go, well, wait a minute. Imagine, and I say this right now, let's just say this as a hypothetical. You're Miami's starting left tackle next year, and your name's not Samson Okunlola. And that kid's making, say, hypothetically, $1.75, $2 million a year, and you are starting and making almost nothing. You're not going to be happy. And that's the balance that has to be worked out, because you're going to have a lot of guys like you talk about. And another one I'll bring up real quick before we move on Say you did bring Cedric Baxter into this locker room at $750,000, a year or whatever it would have taken to get him. And you've got Trevor Etienne and, Johnson ahead of him, putting up great numbers in the SEC week to week. At what point can they turn around and say, hold up now?
Facts.
What has he done?
That's an excellent point.
What has he done?
Exactly.
I'm out here rushing for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns in a season. What has he done? It's a dangerous
salary cap.
It's a bad game that we're playing right now as far as that goes. You really got to be
point. That was a great point, Hurst.
You got to be calculated, man. It's hard to balance a locker room. Mike, you got one more thing you wanted to add?
Yeah, and it goes once I said last week, we had no drama in signing day, so you can tell Napier's recruiting a certain type of kid. Period. So I mean, obviously, the outlier would have been Cormani, but look what Miami got. Look at the issues that they are currently dealing with, and a lot of their fan base, for example, they're kind of like, all right, a lot of them expect him to leave. I mean, he's been crystal balled by on 3, I want to say, to go to Colorado at this point, and they've already paid up front, which I know we don't do. I mean, it's just something we should wait till the ink's dry. So it just goes to, once again, if you get good kids, they're not just gonna jump ship. They are gonna work with you. They're gonna see the big picture. They're gonna they're not just gonna be true, as Wes was saying, free agent. Okay, next, whoever's gonna pay for me, be mercenaries, for example. You're gonna get, hey, I'm committing 1 to get better, to go to the NFL. 2, I'm gonna go. I like the actual institution as well. I mean, I'll give you an example. Quarterback up in I want to say Washington. He actually said Washington had a better NIL. However, he was committed to Ohio State because he said, I believe I can be developed there for NFL. Well, you don't necessarily have to have the biggest NIL, but you have to have other factors involved. So
that, and I'll keep this short. That's where you see why our rival,
correct,
Georgia, doesn't have a lot of guys in the transfer portal.
Well, they haven't finished their season yet either, but point.
Yeah,
stands.
but yeah,
some of those kids want to hang on and play for that ring. I mean,
true. That we'll see what happens after.
Yeah, we'll see. But
point.
I mean, I can't argue against any of those kids getting to be in the playoffs. I'd want to stay until the season was over too, because you may never get that experience again, no matter what you do. Now, the reason we brought some of this up was obviously this week we had 2 guys surprisingly hit the portal. One being offensive tackle Michael Tarquin, and the other being starting guard Ethan White. Now, I can say I have heard from more than a few people that Tarquin was pretty much poached from our roster. Now, he hasn't committed to go play anywhere yet, but he was getting offers from other schools. One being possibly Oklahoma, and then we'll see if that comes to light or not. Ethan White, I think, was more of a factor of Ethan White he wasn't a big fan. He was a Hevesy guy, and he didn't quite fit this scheme. So, I mean, and that's more or less kind of my take. I know Mike kind of feels the same on that. We've kind of talked about it off air a few times. You saw White had some good plays this season, had some bad ones. Just, depended on the play call. So, guys, with that being said, what are your thoughts on these 2 starters from obviously week 1 last year, both were listed as starters. What's your thoughts on these guys hitting the portal?
I was a little taken back because we were amazing on depth prior to those departures. We were doing quite well. So at this point, I'll just start out with the departures. Tarquin sucks because now Waits has to be ready unless they bring somebody in. So I mean, I like having experienced lines, especially with the new quarterback. And it just once again, I like that's the one position group you don't want young guys early on within a program. So, also with got to be White wasn't a specific fit for the scheme. However, he did progressively get better. So once again, it is definitely a subtraction on the roster. Now it goes to who's going to be ready. Is it going to be Jalen Farmer next man up? Is it going to be Waits? So I'm not in practice. I know this team likes Farmer a lot, and they obviously love Waits. He's a huge body, not a guard, unfortunately. He proved that in the bowl game. However, he's definitely has a tackle's body. So it's once again next man up. However, the depth is definitely taking a hit, and we're tremendously young now. Because before that, we had a nice balanced roster. So hopefully, I'm hoping for at least one to two transfers.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a second as we're going to try to break down what we think we need at each position. Wes, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna speak shortly on it because I know we're gonna recap the entire offensive line in general. But I mean, it's a huge loss when you lose basically 4 out of your 5 starters from last year. We were rated number 1 offensive line this year, and we lost. I mean, even though Barber essentially placed Turquan, to lose 4 out of your starters, 4 out of 5 of your starters on your O-line is it's going to be hard to replace. I know we said Ethan White maybe not fit the system. He's more, in my opinion, more of a power run game type guy. He was solid in pass protection, but as far as run game, he doesn't really totally fit the scheme. I would have liked to see Michael return with Barber going to left tackle maybe, and that would have been ideal for me. But to lose 4 out of your 5 starters going into next year, and then y'all know how I personally felt watching our center play. That's the only guy that's coming back.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that.
I'll save that part for later as we continue to go through what you're about to go through these numbers as well.
Yeah, breaking that down like you were just saying, our O-line depth now as it stands, and this comes from our good buddy Nick De La Torre over at On 3 and the Stadium and Gale podcast. We have 14 total offensive linemen returning right now, and the breakdown of that is we have 4 tackles, including junior William Harrod, 2 sophomores in Austin Barber and Jordan Herman, and freshman David Connor, 7 guards, including juniors Riley Simmons and Richie Leonard, sophomore Cameron Waits, and then freshman Jalen Farmer, Christian Williams, Roderick Kearney, Bryce Lovett. Of course, 2 of those being redshirt freshmen. And then you have our centers. We talk about Kingsley. He's a junior. And, man, that guy make your blood pressure go up. Sophomore Jake Slaughter, and then, of course, coming in freshman Najee Harris. So that leaves us with a possible starting O-line next year as of today. Left tackle, Austin Barber. And you got guard would be Farmer, not Jordan. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jalen Farmer. Kingsley at center, Richie Leonard at right guard, and Waits at right tackle. That's a lot of uncertainty. And as Wes just said, that's, that's really 3 new offensive linemen. But if Barber's playing left tackle, of course, that would be a position change. I actually think he's got the chops for it for sure. We know Mike thinks that Barber is the man. Guys, are we in trouble on the offensive line next year?
I believe so. We have 4 tackles. I mean, I know Waits maybe can go out the left tackle, but if we lose 2 of our tackles, which could happen, then we only have 2 there. And we don't know who can play left or right tackle out of that second group. As listed by, like we said, our good friend Nick De La Torre, there's only 4 tackles. You don't want to go into a year with 4 tackles. and two can, I mean, like I said, two can be gone. And if you say Waits, Cameron Waits, then maybe 5. That's still a low number to me. Going to see, this is not NFL where you can sign a guy off the street. If you lose your tackles, then you look. I mean, we saw when Turner got hurt early in the year, and Barber came and replaced him. We are hurting there. That's why the Sampson miss was key. Hopefully, we can get Caden Jones in the class. That'll be added depth. Give us a 15th lineman. But we need. And Bryce Lovett was recruited as a tackle, but we see him and Nick even listed him there as a guard. So I guess if something injury was to come, we will be there. But this is my thing for our quarterback coming in. We talked about AR and in the comparison. He's a statue, guys. He's not a guy that's mobile back there. So if our O-line is horrible, he's going to get lit up. And that's why, fans, you don't start Rashada behind that offensive line. That's why he won't start behind the offensive line until we realize what we have coming into the season. We need to make sure that they're there. We got 2 O-line coaches. They're going to have their work cut out for them. Like I said, we had the number 1 offensive line group in the country this year. So hopefully they can do some things, because I am very, very worried that we may be in trouble from a depth standpoint, from an inexperienced standpoint. Our center coming back, I'm very, very worried about him. Hopefully Slaughter, and maybe I know Harris is a freshman, played IMG. Hopefully Najee can come in and do some things, but I am very, very worried about our offensive line.
Mike?
Well, definitely potentially. It all comes down to, well, the depth sucks. Like what Wes was saying, it just we have no proven depth, which is all. Even if it's serviceable, like a veteran who's just not who's decent, we don't have that. Like a TJ Slaughter, for example, who potentially could be a decent player, but at least he's been in the system and they know what they have. That's so definitely trouble at offensive tackle, and I really hope they get a 1-year stopgap at least. I love Leonard, the Broward County alum. Farmer, he's young. Once again, it's really playing a really dangerous game. We're pretty good health-wise last year to a certain extent in terms of missing games, and then Kingsley sucks. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, luckily he's experienced, but I mean, he's still going to get experience of getting penalties. So
I try to be nice.
I mean, no, it is what it is, man. I mean, it's not great, Bob. Not great. But I think that's where it comes into play. You can get a quarterback, get the ball out quick. I'm just worried about depth, to be honest. I know I've heard good things about Farmer and Waits, but it comes down to I need another vet in there, or need to pull Tarplin back somehow.
Yeah, guys. With that being said, let's talk about it for a second. Let's go through the roster position by position and talk about what we feel like, how many we need to take in the portal as of today. Obviously, we don't need to talk about quarterback because we got that guy. We also got the preferred walk-on this week from IMG. Sorry, I didn't bring that up before. So I know Billy had said he wanted one more scholarship.
Where's he from?
IMG.
Kansas.
Is that kid? Oh, that kid is from Kansas. Leslie. So we got the quarterback position taken care of. Whether we like it as fans or not, the room is where Billy wants the room. So, running back. As of today, we know we have Johnson, Etienne, and we added Trayvon Webb, but we lost Lingard, and we lost Naquan. So, do we take a running back in the portal, guys? What do y'all think?
You have to. Like you ran 3 backs in rotation, and even if you go to say one gets hurt, one got hurt,
and we were very fortunate this year.
It's extremely. I don't like it's knocking wood on, but he obviously likes rotating 2 backs, 100%. Sometimes 3. So if you roll in with 3 backs, once again he's unproven. back being and that's your whole rushing attack. You got to go down one back if and so what if Webb is not good? So you say if God forbid ETN gets hurt, so if you don't get it back in the portal, you only have Johnson and a mid back at best. Once again, hypothetically, worst case scenario, if Webb isn't good, like what happens?
I don't know. I'm just wondering how if this stays the way it is. I'll agree with you, both of you guys. I don't think her answer yet his own question yet, but yeah, we have to take at least one back. But I will be interested to see how the carries go if that happens. You can't play Webb at all next year if you go into this year with 3 backs for fear of him getting hurt. You have to keep him on the sideline and just play those 2 backs. And do you give Johnson a majority of the carries so you don't get ETN hurt, or do you split them? So I'll be curious to see if that holds true. But you cannot play Webb at all. Special teams, nothing. You have to keep him in there in a jacket just to keep him safe from getting hurt. If you go into the year with 3 backs, you cannot even let him touch the field, which will be horrible for him. But you can't put him out there because you're gonna need him as a safety valve. So you got to take another back.
Yeah, this is definitely a situation where you need a guy that comes in and you say, look, you're not going to be the guy. You're probably not even going to be the second guy, but you're going to be in a rotation. You're going to get carries. This is how our offense looks. Look at how it ran last year. The carries are there, but you're not going to be a number 1 guy. Are you okay with that? And maybe it's a backup from some other school or third stringer from another school that is just looking for that kind of situation. I mean, most guys want to start, but right now you need a guy that's okay with saying, I'm okay with getting a third of the carries or 20% of the carries. It's going to be a hard task. It's not going to be an easy find.
You're probably going to have to look for a young guy that's a freshman that's looking to transfer. You can't it's going to be hard to get an older guy.
Yeah, look, you're not going to be the guy this year, but next year Johnson goes pro, hypothetically.
You're competing with Webb.
No, well, yes, but I was going to say the next year maybe NTN is number 1, you're number 2.
Yep. So you need a young guy. You're not going to get an older guy.
Yeah, that could also mess up the numbers as well. You got to be wary of that. If they only want to have 4, depends if you get a younger guy. If they would take hypothetically 2 backs, they want 2 backs. I've been here in the 24 cycle. That puts you at 5 next cycle.
Oh, you're going to have to go out there and find you a damn good preferred walk-on.
Yeah, I'm saying it's going to have to be a running back that's not – I'm not talking about like a real talented, like a former 4 or 5 star.
We need a filler right now.
Yeah, just a filler. Yeah. Just a 3 star somewhere.
We need a filler. We need something.
Agreed.
I wish they could have maybe convinced Lingard to stay, but like we said before, I completely understand why that young man with 1 year left to prove himself would go. I mean, and he ended up in a great situation for him, and God bless him. I hope he does fantastic.
I got another reason to watch Maction.
Yeah, man. I'm a Zips fan for.
Yeah, I like that kid. That kid was very, very solid.
And yes, and a great young man. Like, he's very solid, always doing great things. Wide receiver. I'm of the belief we probably need at least 2. We talked about Eugene Wilson playing. As Mike said, Mizell probably needs a little bit more develop. I think Andy Jean might be probably ahead of actually Mizell in that aspect. He's a solid route runner, big-bodied kid, just very, very solid. And don't forget, Mizell didn't play most of this year either, so I don't know what his health status is as far as being ready for spring and all that either. So I'm thinking, man, you've lost a couple of receivers already. You lost Shorter to the draft. You lost Reynolds. You lost Whittemore. Am I forgetting anybody? I mean, you've already lost 3 guys. I mean, obviously Whittemore didn't do anything last year. You're still holding on to kids like Frazier's.
I like Frazier's.
I do too. But I mean, what do you think, Mike? Do we need how many receivers we need?
1, 2. I'm going to say 1 to 2. We need at least one. I want 2. It all depends how the staff sees Henderson. I don't like Henderson, but once again, I'm not. It's their evals and practicing in games and stuff every day. They brought a couple. Yeah, we need one. I want to because the true play. We got Frazier, Henderson, Rick, and White Boy Rick. Right. Douglas, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they're going to get 1 though. If you give me 1 true impact guy, I think we can get away with it. Once again, he has to be proven. Like that Charlotte receiver, someone's
DeBose.
Yeah,
Love that kid.
Somebody proven, and we cannot take a flyer out on a kid.
No, you don't need a young guy that didn't play at the school he was at. You need a guy that has played and run some routes, caught some balls.
Yeah,
can play significant reps next year.
I don't care if you're top
different from running back.
Yeah, I need an 100% impact player no matter what. Because we have some, youth guys can get in, but end of the day, you got to remember Billy likes his 12 personnel. So we're not going to exactly need that true depth.
Yeah, I agree. We need 1 solid guy. I know Mike say he kind of wants 2. I'm kind of good with 1 with Douglas coming back, and I'm just speaking as far as depth concerned. You have Douglas coming back. I'm a big fan of Frazier. Henderson is there. I hope Frazier can maybe push
He's
Henderson.
There.
And then you have Ricky. So with Eugene, and we thinking Eugene and Andy Jean coming in as freshmen. I think that's solid. I think if you get 1 guy, hopefully my pick is the guy from Charlotte. If he hasn't signed yet, I haven't seen anything where he's signed anywhere yet. So say we get the guy from Charlotte, and you have him, and then you have Ricky and Frazier. Let's say Frazier take Henderson's spot. Then Henderson's your depth guy. Then you have Douglas as another depth guy. And then you have Eugene right there, who we think can play year 1 right there with Ricky. And I'm solid with that. I'm good with that. You have a 2 deep everywhere. And you have Andy Jean, who's learning on the go that we think may be able to push for some playing time as well. So I'll be good with 1 guy, especially if it's that guy from Charlotte. Really liked him. Put up some big numbers there. It is a different type of receiver than I guess Henderson, and as far as separation, big kind of guy that can make some catches. So I will hope we can get in on that guy. I don't think we may be able to get him, but hopefully that's the guy we get.
Yeah, just always remember to, I mean, guys, it's easy to sit here and say, oh, we want 2, but the numbers may not allow us to get 2. So always keep that in mind when you're sitting here. Just because we lost 30 guys or whatever it is, and we're bringing in 20, remember that the numbers are still messed up from the COVID year, and all that stuff has really kind of off balanced it. So they've still got to make the numbers work on it, to be at 85 when the season starts. Tight end, I think we all pretty much think we probably need a tight end. I would assume. No tight end, Mike.
Good, man. I got my boy Odom. He's injury prone, but I absolutely love Odom. I'm not counting on Livingston at all. Obvious reasons, he's a freshman.
Well, I keep forgetting about Livingston coming in, though. That does add depth to the room.
And then you have Zipper still there, and then is it Alex Borningham? I might be saying his last name.
Yes. See, yes.
Borningham. It'll be Arliss Borningham. The freshman they brought in a lot last cycle. Arliss Borningham is more of a flex. Hayden Hansen, he's big.
I forgot about Hansen too. Yeah, you're right.
But no, you got Odom and Dante Zanders and Keon Zipper. So I mean, I don't.
Oh, that room's 5-6 deep. Yep.
Yeah,
See, there's names in there. There's names in there you don't think about because we didn't see them last year. Borningham was hurt.
Yeah, so I think they're going to incorporate Arliss a lot more into the offense. Like I said, I love Odom and Zanders. People want to talk a lot of crap about him, but our season he helped us out tremendously this season. We were extremely fortunate to have him. I mean, he's just serviceable, I would say, at best. But however, once again, you can't have stars everywhere, especially when you're rebuilding the program. And for now, at least, we still have Zip.
So let's move on to offensive line, even though we just spoke about it. What are we thinking here? 1 tackle, 1 guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1 tackle, 1 guard, 1 impact tackle, preferably.
Yeah.
I mean,
somebody
I
that
don't
can
know.
come
It
in.
depends on what the staff feels about Waits. I mean, maybe they feel like that kid is a starter. I don't.
But
I will hopefully we can get if Turcon doesn't go, hopefully, because we've seen kids go in the portal and come back. So I'll give us a 30% chance of getting him back. If not, then you want somebody that can compete for the right tackle position. And I know we said guard. I'm kind of good. We got guys there at guard. Leonard played some last year. I want a center. I want a center, man. Anytime your center doesn't know the snap count and making your tackles and guards jump off sides, and he's rocking back, I need a new center.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening though, brother. I'm sorry.
I
I mean, we all would like to probably see an upgrade there, but I think they're going to ride with him. But let's remember now, he's a junior.
This is my wish list. This is my wish. This is my wish.
Hopefully he improves. He's, a full year under the staff. Hopefully we see some improvement. That's what we believe that they can do well is develop. So
it wasn't his. Even though his technique was bad because he was getting pushed back, it's the snaps.
I need the offsides. I need the offsides to
that stuff just drives me crazy.
He was have a butt with the O-line. O-line coach would say. So I won't say pause on that. No, he can't anchor. You got to anchor.
Yep. Well, hopefully, like I said, we give him a calendar year. Next year, we see significant improvement on a lot of the mistakes he made. We've got to have faith in that until you can't anymore. It's just one of those things. You got to try to believe that coaches can work with him over the off season, improve his technique, and he can get, the mental aspect though has to get better. All right, guys, let's flip sides here and go to our defensive line. I think we all know what we need on the defensive line. Are we all pretty much in agreement that we need a nose tackle? Now we know that it's been out there that we're in the mix for the young man that plays for Memphis. He had his bowl game yesterday and had a sack in that game. So if you haven't seen that video's out there. Go check it out. Kid looked pretty good on that particular play. I didn't watch the game myself, but
it was a nice little stunt. Showed some athleticism.
Not bad for a 340-pounder.
Yeah, you absolutely need what's it called, a nose here, because I like McClellan. I'll say it again. He's not a nose. I mean, maybe on certain packages, absolutely. However, if run-heavy team, he's got to get murdered. Bottom line, I've seen some plays against Oregon State. He's young, so he can definitely get better at this, get stronger, better technique. Absolutely. So however, why are you putting this kid? He's not in the best situation to succeed. So same thing with Sapp. It's okay. However, get the bodies now. Okay, your first year, you get an excuse. Now, get these kids, get them in sub packages. He's a natural 3 tech. It is what it is. He's not a 0. He's not a 1 tech. Watson is, okay? McClellan is not. You don't believe it, watch the tape. Don't tell me about the penetration sometimes, this and that, because not all not all penetration is good, because it could technically be allowed by the O-line. So especially backdooring, for example. But end of the day, we desperately need a nose, and we're good at the other D tackle, especially with the transfer from that we just got, Caleb
Banks from Louisville.
Yeah.
Guys, what about Jack linebacker possibly getting a backup at that position? Because we lost 2 guys there, and you're just bringing in Cersei there, so you're Powell and Cersei. I
think we definitely need one. I hope they do. I mean, it's only Powell. I like Jack Pyburn. He has a little cult following, but I mean, I don't.
Is he projected on the depth chart at Jack?
He's listed on the edge right now. Yes.
I thought he was behind. I thought he was behind Princely, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, I gotta check. I mean, I'm looking at Nick's chart right now. So
I got you. I might have that wrong.
Who is that? Who is that? Strong defense, strong DN.
That Princely's at the strong DN, and then Powell's
Yeah,
at the
Princely,
back linebacker.
Boone, and then Clyburn.
no. So because we're on edge right now. So because Powell is the first string, Pyburn second string. So Pyburn, because he played linebacker in high school as well. So I just once again I think he's a program guy. You know, if I see him seeing significant snaps, I'm not going to be the biggest fan of it. Hope it proves me wrong, but I just especially how we are recruiting, I don't see him seeing the field snaps. If he does next season, we're in trouble because we didn't get proper depth.
Let's move to the middle real quick and talk about linebackers.
Did you get strong side?
I don't think we talked about defensive line, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Good.
I didn't have anything.
Yeah, I think we're 3 deep on that position.
Yeah,
I think we're good there. I don't plus freshmen. I wasn't even considering freshmen. I mean, we brought in such a large defensive line class. I thought, nose is the one position obviously we know we need. And I know we had obviously Reese and Summerall transferred, so your jack position might be a little light with just Cersei coming in. But we've got a lot of more depth there than we had coming into the season. That's for sure. I could see, like I said, if we added Banks and if we add that kid from Memphis, I think we'll be doing real solid on the defensive line as far as a 1-year turnaround goes.
Yeah.
But now linebacker, I'm a little concerned, as we should be. You lose Ventrell, you lose Bernie. You have Wingo has decided he's going to stay, so he's probably first in line to take Ventrell's spot, with Shamar James taking the other spot that Bernie had. And then, I mean, you got Jaden Robinson you're bringing in this class, and you've still got Scooby there. And look, some of these kids can still transfer up until, you're going to have more transfers after spring, and you have to think about that. Is if Scooby gets beat out by Wingo, does he hit the portal? And you got to think about that. I mean,
I would.
That's why I was hard on just taking, even though I like Jaden, that's why I gave the grade last week was so hard because of what you just stated. If even with that, it's the same thing as running back. If you have injury, I mean, linebacker is a violent position, and you take it on guards, you're hitting backs in the hole. Hamstring, ankle turn, shoulder injury, anything could happen, and then you're short. So yeah, we're good, too deep. We're too deep there, but you would like to have other than a true freshman in Jaden Robinson. I guess that kind of goes into what I was saying, but you would like to have Jaden Robinson with somebody paired with somebody as far as your 3D. But I would think we need one more guy.
I would agree. Definitely need to find one good linebacker. And I believe the young man from Ohio State is probably going to be the guy that fills that position after their game. If they get eliminated this Saturday, I could see that one becoming official pretty quick. Now, guys, let's talk about the secondary for a second. And as we talk about the secondary, I forgot to mention, and we talked about White and Tarquin transferring, but I forgot to mention Trevez Johnson also entered the portal this week. So now you're short one more guy at star.
I'm good.
I knew Wes was ready to talk about. Maybe that's why I was leaving him off, so Wes wouldn't get agitated. But you still have Jadarius Perkins. As far as your corners, as star man goes, you have Perkins there, and as far as your corners, you still obviously have Jason Marshall, and you have Hill, and you have Kimber. And I know I'm leaving somebody out of there.
For corners?
No,
yes.
You said Hill, Kimber?
Hill, Kimber, and Marshall.
And Moore.
Yeah. Moore.
Moore, yes. There you go. See, that's who I forget. And it's so easy to forget because he got hurt midway through the year. I see Moore playing significant snaps this year. But then this is where that class that we just brought in with their ability to play multiple positions is really going to come in handy.
Yeah, I don't think we need to add anybody in the secondary.
Don't think we need a safety?
We have Torrance coming back.
Hold on. Before you say that, let me throw one more thing out that we did not keep in mind. There's been a lot of talk about Kamari sliding the linebacker.
I was wondering when I saw this depth chart or the scholarship.
Yeah, I know we talked about that. If he does, I'm still, because we lost McMillan. Then you have and this is somebody we forgot to bring up too. Miguel. Is his name Miguel?
Miguel Mitchell, yes.
Mitchell. You have Miguel Mitchell and Dakota Mitchell there. But Miguel was playing a linebacker position, seemed like to me, or he wasn't playing safety. Wasn't he playing like a line? When I saw him on the field, it was like he was more in the box. He wasn't playing in back. So
it's strong.
Yeah, I'm good in the secondary. I don't want to add anybody else. I'd rather throw a true freshman out there, whoever coming in. I'd rather throw I can't remember his name off the top of my head. My safety that committed on Friday Night Lights.
Castell.
I'd rather pay him. Him or Bryce Thornton.
Let me get this right. You want a sight unseen?
Excuse me?
No, I'm just saying. Without you sight unseen. You want to start?
Yep.
Jesus. You know what?
Nobody's going to come. I don't think the reason why I say that because I don't think we're going to.
You don't even know when he's good. You don't even know if he's good.
I'd rather see him than another safety.
You let him you want to practice. You want to.
Now hold on now, because
Marcus May looked horrible his freshman year.
But I got scorched for this during the season for saying that we should play the kids. I ain't going down alone.
It's an awful take.
Nah, I'm good.
I think if you can find an experienced safety, you got to take it.
It's gonna be hard.
Okay,
I guess that's my thinking.
No, I mean, but listen.
That's why you're posted. That's recruiting.
Correct. I mean, like I said, we don't know any of these kids at all. So I mean,
Gates is coming off an injury, and he's seen as more of a safety.
And per your logic, I disagree with it. I caught you.
I know what you're gonna say.
No.
No, here we go.
Per Wes's logic, I'm gonna pull the tape. Damn it! When you get further away from the ball, it's hard. Per your logic, that's what you said. Okay, I'm totally 180 on that. So you want a true freshman? Day one to start, sight unseen, no practices, nothing. Now, no film, it's not even on campus. Not even a new semester.
That's how I feel.
Oh my! So you just
it's the hardest.
Does not make sense.
But it does make sense. I said he can be hard. I said Marcus May was horrible.
No.
Keanu Neal was horrible.
Did he start as day one?
Yeah, they started. They got torched at Alabama. I remember.
You okay with that? You're okay with getting torched? You just
they turned out to be first round picks. I'm
a hypocrite, and I don't mind if
I'm not a hypocrite because I said throw him out there and he's going to struggle. I don't think we're going to be any good next year. We don't have the depth period to be so why not learn on the field?
I love the hypocrisy.
And to everybody that what Mike is saying is I said is other than corner. It's harder to play farther away mentally, not physically, mentally, because a safety and linebacker has too much on their plate than a D lineman.
Oh, the logic.
It's true.
There's no exact. There's a zero. It's amazing.
So as also
really quick on the what's it called on Johnson. I just want to say something. And it kind of goes to Torrance. A lot of people don't like him. All right, I get it. However, once again, it's depth. Okay, he's played
starting depth
snaps. That's why I like Helm. Helm's at TCU. Okay, like people. I'm so glad he's gone. Okay, let's just say Wes's logic hypothetically, and I'm not saying I love our class. Kids are ready at different stages. Okay, and when you put kids too quickly, you will ruin them forever. No confidence. And it's just when you have depth, incoming starters, allow them, like a Caleb Douglas, to slowly get better and lap them. That is how it should be done. Miguel Mitchell slowly got better and lapped some people.
We have a nickel.
Perkins?
Him and Johnson is the same guy.
Exactly. But once again,
so either way, you got a guy coming back starting. Perkins has the job next year, and you have depth behind him.
kids.
That's how we're going. Youth movement.
Your logic out there.
We're gonna see.
It's
gonna be.
total
It's gonna be interesting to see as these bowl games wrap and more kids hit the portal, and then we see some more names. What this staff's vision really is for next year. You know, as of right now, there's a lot of people that are set in the mindset that we're just going to mail it in. You know, and that's part of the slow rebuild. And you know what? It most likely is, but I don't think it's in Billy Napier's mindset that we're not going to come out and compete. You know, I don't think he's. You know, we as fans may see it as mailing it in, but I guarantee you that's not his intention or his intent. He's going to play to win every ball game he's in, as any good coach would. So hopefully he brings in some guys that can make an impact, and we can see a transition from what we saw this previous season and show some growth and show some improvement. I believe we'll definitely see that from the quarterback position. I'm kind of with Mike on that. You know, I love they are, but I think that a more steady quarterback, you know, with hopefully better decision making, you know, that you win some of these games that we lost this year that we should have won, and everybody knows we should have won.
It might have been better for the roles to reverse. AR might be better behind this trash offensive. Oh, I ain't going to call offensive line trash.
Oh,
I don't know what's going to happen this upcoming year, but Mertz might have been better suited with this good offensive line that we kind of had this year.
He probably would have been. But, you know, I mean, we're going to find out real quick what kind of mindset, like I said, and what kind of mental
leader.
Yeah. We'll find out real fast. All right, guys. As you know, we like to be a part of the people. And we're going to answer some more questions this week like we do every week. Wes, shoot us some questions, man.
All right. I am pulling them up now. The first question we have is from Chris Sorley. His first question is Florida an actual NIL school? And what I take from that is he's saying, are we really one of the top 5, top 10 NIL schools in the country? Are we competing in that area?
Top 10, yeah. Top 5?
No.
Debate. Hold on.
No,
you're correct. I'd say top 10. Top 5, yeah. No,
I mean, right now you've got, until proven otherwise, who's ahead of us? Texas.
Tennessee.
Tennessee, Texas A&M, Miami. We don't like it, and it may not be the true fashion of what NIL is supposed to be, but their results are speaking.
And his second part of his question, he's saying, is Scott Strickland and the Boosters hesitant? And I'm taking that as, are they slow to contribute to the cause of making us one of those top 5 NIL schools?
Absolutely. I mean,
are they the issue?
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Strickland is an absolute awful AD. He's lazy, and I think he understands what the NIL is. I don't think he fully grasps it. Sorry. So I mean, he kind of just sits back and hope things fall into place. I mean, end of the day, your job is to raise money, and there's so many things along with the Gator Collective that people assume where's this money, where's that money? Well, because the school has backed the Gator. University of Florida has officially backed the Gator Collective. However, at the same time, you don't see it. Where there's the cross promotion, for example, is not there. So that goes to internally inside the stadium, not being able to go out on the road, for example. So that's, once again, that falls under Strickland. The UAA, I don't care what anyone says. Strickland has some stay in there. Okay, I know Hirsch can comment a little bit more on that, but end of the day, this falls on one person only, the athletic director.
Yeah, Scott is public enemy number one to me, but a close follow-up number two is the UAA. And I know from talking to members of the collective, the UAA is not helping our cause as far as getting the outreach that we need to really get contributors. Because you have to remember this, guys. The average fan isn't on Twitter, isn't on Facebook all the time, to see the ads from the Gator Collective. You old boosters aren't checking their Twitter to see the latest post from the Gator Collective. This has to be spread through word of mouth. And one way of doing that is through meetings and Gator clubs and things like that. And the UAA is not helping us in that aspect. And until they do, I think the hands are tied in a for better or for worse. And it sucks.
All right. This one is from Jay Stubbins. He said, "What's up with our portal action? Because I see little brother FSU grabbing their knees and we are just sitting there with Mertz and a backup linebacker supposedly."
First thing, like we alluded to previously in the show, we're not done adding people yet, so just be patient, obviously. And FSU's model. Norvell's model to build a program is absolutely atrocious. He's still on Willie Taggart's quarterback, Travis Hunter, who's definitely progressed throughout his career. I'll give him credit for that. But his highest class is I want to say 17th in the country, which is this past season, his third year. So he just can't recruit high school kids. Like they try, they just can't. Okay, that's just the bottom line. Like last year, Sam McCall, the highest graded kid, he's already out of the program. So I mean, they have to supplement the talent they don't get from high school kids. So I mean, they're pretty. You can be successful, but you have to hit on everybody in high school to be adequate at least. And it's not a sustainable model. You can get 8 to 10 wins. You can average that if you have a solid quarterback, but you will never truly be an elite program because you can't keep getting. Oh, I got Jaheim Bell. Jaheim Bell had a bad season, and they're hyping Jaheim Bell. Like they had a couple good guys. I want to say the deep tackle out of Central. One of the directional
Central Michigan.
Yeah, Central Michigan. He's a good get. He had burst, good get. Johnson,
Wilson.
The Dean that went to the Jets. They're there 3 years in a row. Really good pickups. But guess what? They're going to be there for 1 year over year. It's not sustainable for building an elite program. So
they're not developed talent. Hold on real quick. They're not developed talent, and they're also trying to take advantage now of the window they have with Travis before he leaves.
Exactly.
To get as much talent in there real fast as they can, but you're not bringing any young talent in and developing that talent. So you're not building a program. You're basically just trying to make a run. Multiple
Band-Aids.
Yep. All right. This is from James Eunice. He has 2 questions. The first one is, it appears we are doing things differently than all other major schools. Is this a choice that we are making, or is this what's happening because of our lack of NIL infrastructure?
I think, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, I think Billy is trying to build a stable locker room. And that is trying to make sure that people financially are even from top to bottom, that you don't have those gaps like we talked about earlier with Baxter, if you brought in Baxter. Trying to keep your locker room happy from top to bottom so that you play as a team. Everything is just. Now, don't get me wrong. We're missing some NIL opportunities. Absolutely. But I also believe that Billy has put limits on certain things, and that Baxter situation to me is the prime example of what he's doing. Is that you don't overpay one guy when you've got these other two gentlemen that are starters already putting up numbers that probably aren't making close to what he's going to get from Texas.
Yeah, that was an excellent point you made earlier. I mean, that kind of
Mike,
question.
Mike, you got anything else to add to that part of it? I mean, as far as your
I think you said it perfectly. Once again, like he's going for the long term. This is all new, the NIL, in terms of paying the players, how it's going to affect the locker rooms. You know, there's been rumors about a couple of teams where it has had negative effects. So, or like
A&M, perfect example.
Yeah, so it's just like he's bringing in a certain type of person. However, it's, you know, with that being said, they're okay with a certain allocation of money, or like, you know, if one player comes in and maybe making a little bit more, they're okay with that hypothetically. But at the heavy spenders, A&M, Texas, and let's say Miami and Tennessee, or with the exception of Tennessee, those are just, what have they done? Seriously, like what have they done? So they're just throwing cash at it and hope it sticks. Nobody knows this is the Wild West right now. So I mean, Hirsch said it best. So I'm just going to echo what he said. And this is the most sustainable model. You know, it's just longer and it sucks. It's not as flat.
It sucks, but man, you've got to think long term. And Billy's thinking about year 3, year 4, year 5.
Correct.
And building
this question is
a sustainable and just building a sustainable team.
This is another question from James. This is a good question. I'd love to hear you guys respond to this. He said, we were told in the beginning that Napier had his demands and they were met. Did he miss some things he should have asked for? Is this leadership not following on what they promised him?
I think, honestly, they promised that Billy asked for what he wanted. He was promised what he wanted, but they miscalculated how this new era of NIL was going to go this year, especially. You can't plan for the Ruizes of the world all of a sudden just coming out and saying, you know, we're just going to buy this guy. We're going to buy that guy. We're going to buy that guy.
Out of spite.
Out of spite, yeah. Just like, oh, you're going after him? Well, guess what? I'm going to pay him double to come here, even if he's not worth it. Because I can. I mean, and if you're Billy Napier, let's take the Citizen commitment from last year. Miami comes in on National Signing Day and is like, we'll give you $300,000 to come to Miami. And Billy says, you have best of luck to you, kid. Thanks for considering us. Best of luck. I mean, hindsight, you know, everyone when it happened was like, how do we lose that kid to Miami on signing day? Everybody said he was coming to Florida. How does that happen? Billy made a choice. I don't want to pay that kid $300,000. I don't think he's worth it.
I'm happy with Trevor. Anyways.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying that being an example of, you know, people will say, oh, Miami beat us out for that guy. And technically they did. But we also made a decision, and this goes back to the last question, of stability for your locker room and not overpaying for kids. You got Trevor. You won that.
Imagine that. Imagine Trevor being the better back, but Citizen gets the $300,000 and Trevor only got $100,000.
And I'm telling you, if the roles were reversed, our fan base would be livid. But our fan base worries more about trolls and things of that nature than they worry about long-term, you know, team. But back to the original question. Yes, I think Florida and Billy Napier were actually caught off guard by how, you know, violent the waters of this NIL, you know, were.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got
Spot on, Hirsch.
Ryan Parker. He says, thoughts on any remaining high school targets on National Signing Day, or or will we use the remaining scholarships on transfers?
I think Caden Jones is obviously one you're still going to have to, keep an eye on to sign with Florida. But I think you'll see some more targets identified here going forward. You just have to, Billy came in with a short window last year and identified a few guys real quick. Caleb Douglas being one, that made an impact.
Miguel Mitchell.
So we just have to wait. It's just kind of now they have to, the dust is settled on early signing day. You have to take a look now and say, all right, who's left? Who's out there?
What's the date that they can start recruiting kids again and having conversations with the high school kids? It's January something.
I don't know the exact date. It's after the All-Star games.
Okay.
I think it might be right the Sunday after the All-American game or something like that. I can't exactly remember the date.
All right, 3 more questions, 2 from one guy, Jared White. He says, what if – excuse me, I just answered that question. I apologize.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
This is a different question. He said, what if any of the unsigned high school recruits eventually come to the field? He answered the same thing Ryan did, but the second part of his question says, I personally am okay with the slower program build through high school. Are you guys? And that kind of what you were just talking about, Hurst. I mean, Mike, my bad.
I'll let Mike handle that.
Yeah, just to expand on it, it's nice. Bama's having this problem, okay? Everyone's like, oh my goodness, Bama's getting Gibbs, getting Bird. Oh my goodness. Well, look at their season. Like, there's lacking a lot of locker room issues. Had a lot of lacking a lot of leadership over there. Okay, when you get that many different personalities from outside your program, because as a coach, you're recruiting a kid. You know his family, you know his mom, you know his teachers, you know his coach, you know who he is. Okay, when you're getting these, you have to recruit him, get him in a portal. You're just getting talent. I mean, obviously you can get the kid, but like a lot of times sometimes sight unseen. Like, no, I mean, he threw for 4,000 yards, 3,000 yards. I'll take him. He's really good. But what if he's not a leader? What if he's a piece of shit in the locker room? So high school kids, though, you're going to see it. You're going to grow with them. And if he's been there year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, 6 for even some guys, the continuity within the locker room is it's night and day. Obviously, you always got to battle for the guy next to you. However, it's just it's different. It's different. And once again, you're not always going to hit on your transfers. I'll say I'll go at FSU again. That Central Michigan guy, he's going from G5 Power 5. I mean, Verse did it, and he's good, but still, that's a risk. Okay, and last, I'll wrap it up here. Same thing with I already said Verse, but Jaheim Bell, that's a whole different scheme. So you're taking up a scholarship spot, and you're hoping he projects well. If you get the kid from Ohio State, and you can't really mold him. You get him from high school, you can mold him out of clay, make him exactly who you want, and you know what you're getting.
All right, this is the last question from Justin Wood. That's our guy that asks questions every week. So shout out to Justin, appreciate it. Him and Ryan, I think, are here a lot. Chris as well. So thank you guys for your questions. But from Justin Wood, he says, what are the thoughts on where we stand with the 2024 recruiting class as far as top end talent we can land? Do you guys think, and that's the first part of his question. The other question is about the portal. But he says, as far as the 2024 recruiting class, as far as top end guys, I'll take that one sort of. You guys can chime in if you want as well. Right now, it says we're ranked number 10. It's early. We already have DJ Lagway and Miles Graham. That's 2 top 30 guys, 5-star guys right there. We have Rushing, Elijah Rushing. He's from out of Arizona. His dad is a legacy. Well, he's a legacy. His dad played. That's somebody that we can't miss. That's another 5-star guy. We have the running back that was committed to us before, Jared Gibson. He's number 10 in the class. So I think our chances of we were going after Gibson. Hopefully, we can get him back in the class. But me personally, this is as Mike likes to call it. This was my baby as far as 24 class because I have high expectations. Not only just because I think Billy be having another year making relationships, because that's what this staff is high on, relationships. And then you already have your quarterback DJ Lagway in the class. To me, that getting him to commit early and already having them there, I think Rashad in the 23 class commit flipping late kind of hurt us. And having DJ early and kids knowing, okay, I'm going to play with that guy when he goes to these camps, when he goes to these all-star games, these 7-on-7 games, and these kids see that kid, and he has that type of personality that draws other kids to him. So with the legacy guys in Graham and rushing, and you have Lagway, that's 3 to me 5 stars right there. Not to me, they're 5 stars. And hopefully we can get Gibson in the class with us only taking one back that we talked about earlier. We already have the back in the class as well, who's pretty good. And to get Gibson to go with that kid, I think our 24 class is going to be elite. I'll be very, very, very disappointed if it's not top 5.
Absolutely.
All right.
You got more?
Okay. No, just one more question. You can kill it. This is from the Jared White. We kind of discussed this earlier. He said, can we get a second pot of the week? And I'll let Hirsch answer that question about what we talked about, what we may think about doing.
Yeah, guys, we really like that idea, and that might be something. Yeah, Pot of the People pod, kind of like a extra little segment we might do exclusively for our YouTube channel in the future. We were talking about that. That might be something that we look into doing, where we take questions for a week, possibly, put the question up, solicit the questions for a week, and then just have like a 20-minute sit down where we answer recruiting questions and whatnot. We like that idea, and we might talk about doing that for the future. So thank you for that. Guys, we appreciate all your questions a lot. Thank you so much. We love the interactions. We always love hearing what y'all.
Really good questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. Really very good questions. Anything that makes you sit here and have to think and, really kind of explain things in detail. We love that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. And y'all keep those coming and we'll keep answering them. Guys, thank you so much once again for tuning in, guys. It's kind of a slow week as far as recruiting news, but hopefully things are about to start picking up as these bowl games in and these coaches work on putting together next year's roster. So we'll look and what we hear this week. Like I said, if we hear anything out of the practices for the All-American games and whatnot, and try to get you some information about how our kids are doing in those practices. But until then, guys, make sure you go out there, and download the podcast wherever you get your podcast from, and check us out on our YouTube channel. As always, respect our decision. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, like the video. And if you'd like to support us as creators, check us out on our Patreon, respect our decision. And each and every dollar we get, as I said, comes back to help us with this show, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Guys, Mike, you got anything you want to add before we jump out of here?
As always, Bateman's got us, and sayonara Scott.
Sayonara Scott. We could only be so lucky. But anyway, Wes, take us home.
Yeah, appreciate it, Hirsch. Thank you guys again for the questions. We love it. Love the support. Love the interaction. Again, if you're a veteran or know someone that's a veteran and trying to apply for get your benefits from the VA, please hit it up and ask us any questions you have. Again, we are a pod that support our troops. We are thankful and blessed to have this podcast, and we're thankful for you guys. And you guys have a safe and happy New Year. Hope you guys all had a wonderful Christmas. And I am out. That is all. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Happy New Year, guys. Go Gators.